We've had our first here we go of the summer, and the new Ineos regime now are working hard to address the key areas of this squad. A striker was desperately needed, as Højlund was ran into the ground last season, and United's attack was largely blunt throughout. I have parts of this signing which I like a lot, but then there's also parts of this signing which do leave me a little bit worried. So make sure you stay in tune, guys. As always, drop a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's get into it.
Let's go!
So Joshua Zirkzee has a background of moving from Feyenoord's academy to the one of Bayern Munich, and after a loan spell at Parma where injury did kind of blight that one, he had a spell at Anderlecht which was much more prosperous. He would then go on to sign a permanent deal at Bologna, and in his second season under Thiago Motta then, that was what played an integral part in getting in this move to United. And we know that Bologna were one of the surprise packages of last season, finishing 5th, getting the Champions League spot above the likes of Lazio, Roma and Napoli. Bologna had the third youngest squad in Serie A last season, and one of the main names in that squad was United's new man, Joshua Zirkzee, who was still only 23 years of age. Physically, Zirkzee is a big old boy.
Look at the size of that thing.
But you never think that with the way that he plays. He's never going to be someone who's going to be used as a classic target man, but he's still going to hold his own in the ground duels. Zirkzee is very technical for a big striker, and he said so himself. It's not so usual to see a tall centre forward of good technique, and without a doubt, my gift is my technique. And this leads us on to the main strengths of Zirkzee, and that's going to be his control in tight spaces and his ability to drop deep and receive the ball and link up with his teammates. Now, we know that Ten Hag had a big affection for Martial, but Martial simply couldn't stay fit. And we know with Martial, one of his main strengths was his ability to drop deep and link up play, and then that allows then space in behind for the rest of his team to make those runs, and then it creates havoc with the opposition centre-backs. They don't know whether to follow him into midfield or whether to stay where they are, and that causes that bit of disruption then. And that's very, very similar to the playing style of Joshua Zirkzee as well. He obviously has that role, as you can see here, where he can regularly drop deep to receive the ball, and he's got very good link-up play with his teammates. You can see from his heat map that he doesn't occupy the same zone during games. This can not only disrupt settled defences, but it can also help when his team is being pressed high up the pitch as well. When allowed to turn and run with the ball, Zirkzee isn't the quickest, but that doesn't stop him demanding it and driving from deep to get his team moving further forward. Again, for a big guy, he's able to shift direction easily to evade his markers both with and without the ball. This guy, as I've said, despite that height, is very, very mobile, and you would never think so by looking at him, but when you look at the way he plays, he's just got something that's a little bit different. Now, what about his finishing? And we know with Zirkzee, he hasn't been the most prolific striker during the course of his short career. The good things about his shooting is his ability to use both feet, and he does regularly stay composed in front of goal. You can see from his shot map that he doesn't favour any particular part of the goal, but there's no doubting that finishing does heavily need to improve if he's going to become a top Premier League striker now. And he also needs to add just that bit of a bite to his game at centre forward. He times his late runs into the box very well, but he doesn't really command that 6-yard box like you would really like a top striker to do. Like obviously what his new coach at United used to do regularly. At Bologna, it was very much an everyone feeds mentality, and the goals were largely spread out across the team. Zirkzee has willing runners, not just on the wings in this United team, but can he combine that solid link-up play with a natural eye for goal, much like what sort of Harry Kane does? Like, can he improve that heading ability in the opposition box as well? If he can, then he can truly become a top striker at United.
Exciting!
And the last positive I want to note on Zirkzee is his ability to help United when they press in the opposition team now. Much like what Højlund did for United last season, Zirkzee is a willing runner in that press, and he's also willing to track back and help and do the dirty work when required as well. So that's what you really want now. It's what we've been crying out for, that sort of work rate and that mentality of everyone across this United team. His height does help in the defensive set-piece situations. I've mentioned obviously in the attacking sense that heading needs to be improved, but he does obviously just through that sheer height help United in the defensive side of the game. An area where United have heavily needed to improve for many seasons now.
You know, sometimes your words, they hurt.
But now on to the stuff that does just worry me a little bit. And I've already touched on Zirkzee's struggles with that box presence, and that's something that does heavily need to improve. But largely, for me, the main worry is going to be, how is he going to be used in Ten Hag's tactical setup? I voiced my concerns over and over again last season with the way United played, with the ball largely resorting to hoofball tactics to Højlund to try and get out of our own half.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because
it didn't really work with Højlund, and it definitely won't work with Zirkzee. He's much more comfortable with the ball at his feet, and time will tell now. Does this signing indicate that Ten Hag wants to go back to more of a possession-based game, playing out from the back? Or will we still treat the ball like a grenade and heavily rely on that counter-press for any sort of forward momentum? Which way Ten Hag goes now in the United's tactical setup next season, I think will define largely whether Zirkzee is a success at United or not. I've got to think that with this signing, with obviously Zirkzee's is obviously strengths, I do think the United will largely try and go back to that same the tactical setup that Ten Hag really wanted to use initially at United. Obviously, we know about the injuries last season with certain players coming back, the likes of Martinez and Shaw. I think that will help largely this team. And having the likes of Zirkzee in there, he can play as a centre forward, he can potentially play as a number 10, he can play alongside Højlund in certain situations. He's definitely a player with a lot of room for improvement, but the raw essence of his game and some of the strengths that he brings to this United setup is very, very exciting now. And for the price for him, it's the type of deal that we've been crying out for United to make for so long now. I'm super excited by it. It's not just signing someone like an aging striker who, maybe can guarantee you sort of 10 goals or more a season. This guy might not guarantee United that straight away. We know he's not a massive goal scorer. But the all-round game that he can bring, and I think the stuff that he can do with his teammates, the like of Rashford, the likes of Garnacho, allowing them to get more into the game, is a very, very exciting signing. For his age profile, for the amount of money United have paid, it's the type of deal the United have needed to be doing now for years. And finally, with this new Ineos setup, this does seem to be the direction that they're going in. Signing these players of that age profile, players that can improve in this United setup. But we're going to have to largely just wait and see, guys. Maybe we have to be a little bit patient with this guy, like we did with Højlund last year. Not the finished article, but he can become that at United now. There you are, guys. There's my scouting profile on Joshua Zirkzee. Let me know down in the comments down below. Are you excited for this signing or not? As always, stay subscribed. Stay tuned for everything United, guys. And I'll catch you in the next one.